The matter relating to the disappearance of 6-year-old Joslin Smith from Saldanha Bay in the Western Cape is expected to be heard in the Vredenburg Magistrates Court tomorrow morning. Police cannot confirm how many of the 4 people they were questioning will appear or if they will be charged. In fact, if they've been charged with anything. The grade 1 learner went missing on the 19th of February, and a massive search operation involving various police units, the Navy, the community members was also underway and has been ongoing since. So let's stay with this particular issue and speak to Dr. Shaheda Omar, the Teddy Bear Clinical Director, and Bianca Aswegen, National Coordinator of Missing Children South Africa. Let me thank you both for your time. I'll start with you, Bianca, your reaction to the latest developments.
Good evening. Joslin's unfortunately still missing, so that is one of our great concerns still, that she is currently still missing, even though the police have confirmed that there are people that have been taken in for questioning. Joslin is still missing. So we'll just have to wait and see what the statement comes back with tomorrow from SABC. But unfortunately, this is not the only missing child that we've got in South Africa. There are so many that are missing and have been missing for many years. And people need to realize this, and we need to get the emphasis on missing children in our country.
And I'm going to talk about that and the impact, especially when it comes to their families, the lack of closure, and what this also does to communities, Bianca, in just a moment. But let me come to you, Dr. Omar. I mean, this has been a story that has gripped headlines in the last 2 weeks, and I wonder what, is your reaction to this latest development and the twists and turns that we've seen here?
Well, I think, as Bianca said, it's every time we see a child missing and we experience the pain and trauma of families that have been affected by this, there's a sudden hype and, of course, an uproar and of course outrage around this kind of conduct where people want to take on mob violence, mob justice, that vigilantism to take some form of action, because the communities out there feel unprotected, unsafe, and are actually concerned about the safety of other children, their children and other children. So there's a lot of fear, anxiety and anger that is out there, which is definitely something that we need to take cognizance of, because that is the reality of the situation. But you also speak about the lack of closure. 2 weeks is a very long time. And right now, the family certainly are in limbo because they are anticipating some news, and then, their hopes get high and then they get deflated. So they're actually not knowing what to anticipate, what to expect. This, even though these suspects are going to be questioned, interrogated, that means nothing. Actually, at this point in time, that young girl has been missing for too long. And if, please God, if she is alive, the trauma that she's been subjected to, the separation anxiety and the trauma for the whole family, and even the effect it has had on the community out there. That's something that we need to take cognizance of. The post-traumatic stress disorder, the fear of losing other children.
And I was going to ask you about that, because what does it do to her and those little children who are missing, and even some young adults, when you are separated from your family, you're facing so many uncertainties, you don't know what's going on, you have no clue whether or not you'll even be reunited with them. And in some instances, we've seen some, of them being reunited. But Bianca, let me come back to you. I mean, according to some of the statistics that, we also see, a child goes missing, according to, Statista.com, saying that a child goes missing in South Africa every 5 hours. This is quite a worrying figure, but do those involved in this particular fight, be it the communities, the police, the various activists and organizations like yourselves, have enough resources and capacity to tackle these cases?
Just on those statistics, that was released in 2013 by the Missing Persons Bureau of South Africa, or from SABC. So those are quite old stats. No new stats has been released. But we as an organization see an increasing number of cases being reported to us yearly. I think the main problem that we're looking at is children going missing. It's not being addressed enough. It's not just our responsibility as an organization or SABC or any government body. The safety starts within the communities and with the parents. So it's not just our resources or SABC's resources that might be a bit, that we need more effort to be put into. But we need the community and South Africa to start. We need to start at the ground level. That is where the safety for our children starts. If we have the communities and the parents that look after their children and follow the safety measures, we won't have need extra resources to actually find those that go missing.
And before I go back to you, Dr. Omar, Bianca, one of the things that you mentioned, and I was going to ask you about this, because when we were searching for the stats as the team, going through various, websites and all of that, these are 2013 stats, as you say, but we still even are wondering what the stats look like right now. Does the fact that for you, we don't even have an updated, database, a bit of a concern as well, because it also just signals that maybe we're just letting these kids just go missing and simply not counting?
Yes, but there's also quite a lot of other factors that influence that.
Yeah.
For instance, we've got people in rural areas that are unable to go and open cases. We've got people that lack trust to go open cases, and especially what we've seen with kidnapping cases. Families are being threatened and they're too scared to approach the police. We've got units that specialize on kidnappings, on human trafficking. We do ask them to still report. But yes, it is of a concern that there are no stats, so people can actually realize what really is the problem in South Africa and how many children are currently missing in our country.
And Dr. Omar, one of the things that, is also very clear is that now, every day, we also need to conscientize our children when it comes to vigilance around their own personal safety. What do we begin to say to them in order to also be cognizant of this? Because after you drop off a child at school, there's also that anxiety. Are they going to go in? Are they not? What's going to happen during break time and all of that?
So you raise a very important point, and I think there needs to be consistent communication starting at home during routine times, eating time, play time, homework time, bath time, where parents need to, or caregivers, caretakers, whoever they may be, need to talk to children and alert them. We focused previously on stranger danger. Yes, there is that danger, fear we still need to continue with, but also to alert children not to go with anybody without informing their parents, whether it's an educator, whether it's a sports coach, whether it's the neighbor, whether it's an uncle, or somebody comes and fetch them from school without, some kind of code language. They need to verify that they cannot go even walking to the shops on their own, and even walking back and forth from school. There's mighty numbers that they need to walk together with other children, or but alert them to these kind of realities. And I think parents, like Bianca said, it's not only parents, not only government's overarching responsibility, but we as a community, we need to look out. We cannot keep our heads buried in the sand. We need to look at who are these children walking with? Why is this child walking alone? Why is this child standing at the street corner? That needs to be our business. Child protection is our business. That is rekindling the spirit of Ubuntu, where we need to ensure the safeguarding and protection of each and every child. So parents, speak to your children all the time and ensure that your children inform you of their whereabouts, or make sure that you know who they are with and where they're going to. But older children, not putting out information, personal information online where they don't actually know who they're communicating with. I think those are grave concerns, because that is where we find kidnappings. And something that Bianca said about kidnappings, a lot of the cases are not always reported. Families actually come up with a ransom, beg, borrow, steal, and then get private investigators involved. So the clear and concise statistics are not being reported.
Yeah, and Bianca, let me go back to the point that both of you are touching on, and this is the community aspect. When we grew up, for example, we always knew it takes a village, to raise a child, and you knew that you could be left with a neighbor or something. But now we're seeing, of course, the differences in terms of the parenting and the dynamics and the realities that we are all facing as parents. But let's talk about the community involvement and how communities get involved here, especially when it comes to, if you see that a child potentially is not being well looked after, or something is amiss and all of that, we need to not turn a blind eye to these things.
No, definitely not. I mean, this is, like I mentioned, this is where safety starts. It's within our communities. It's on the ground floor where our children's safety is priority. So if you see something, please report it. That is why there's organizations out there to assist when there are specific cases being reported. Social development, if there's abuse, Dr. Omar is there. We are there for missing person cases. So please, we do urge South Africa to open your eyes. Please realize and face the problem that we are dealing with and help us make a difference in South Africa by keeping our children safe.
And Dr. Omar, over the years, we've been reporting on different stories over the critical shortage, for example, of social workers. How much of a challenge does this pose as well for some of the communities?
Well, I think as Bianca highlighted, if we look in the rural areas, they are hardest hit. There's no access and availability to resources. And when resources are there, they're few and far between. And the distances to accessibility is actually a huge challenge. So this is something that we need to address immediately. It's a matter of urgency. There are social workers, a lot of social workers that need to be redeployed, re-employed, and placed in the relevant communities.
All right, let me thank you both. And as you both say, it's really SOS, and it can't be SOS when there's one case that is being reported on. It has to be something that we are cognizant of as a nation all the time. But let me thank you both for your time. Do appreciate it, and certainly hope that some of the insights you've provided do help some communities to not feel hopeless and to be able to do something about what we are seeing. That was Dr. Shaheda Omar, the Teddy Bear Clinic's Clinical Director, and Bianca Aswegen, National Coordinator of Missing Children South Africa.